This video is all about the career of Bernie Grant MP. The late Bernard Alexander Montgomery Grant, better known as Bernie Grant, was born on the 17th of February 1944 in British Guyana, in what is now called Guyana, which is a country in South America. This country, Guyana, is classed as a mainland Caribbean country. His parents relocated to the UK during a time when British citizens from the colonies were allowed to migrate to the mother country, settle and work before the laws were changed, which treated British passport holders of the colonies as less than, even though by law they were born British. Bernie passed his O-levels in Guyana with flying colours, but opted to leave school early due to issues with not being able to study the topics of his choice. To fill this time, he worked as a lab analyst for a few years before joining his parents in the UK. On arrival in England, Bernie enrolled himself at Tottenham Technical College. He went on to further attain a degree in mining and engineering at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh. He left university in 1969 in protest against discrimination against black students. Bernie later joined the Tottenham Labour Party in 1973 and was elected a councillor in 1978. In the Union of Post Office Workers, he fought for the rights of fellow workers. In 1978, he became a full-time area officer for NUPE, which is responsible for its local authority and health workers. Bernie founded the Black Trade Unionist Solidarity Movement and worked for it full-time between 1981 and 1984. In 1984, Bernie led the fight against the rate capping that the Conservative government had introduced in the borough. The heated campaign created a division in the local constituency Labour Party. Grant became the new leader in the borough of Haringey by the end of 1985, the first ever black person to hold such a position in Europe. One of his first major projects was to oversee the reconstruction of Alexander Palace that had partially been destroyed by a fire outbreak. The racial tensions in the UK hit the roof during the 80s. Police brutality and injustices were rife across the UK. This manifested itself into race riots across the UK. One of these disturbances was at Broadwater Farm Estate in Tottenham, North London on the 6th of October 1985. The previous day, the police raided the home of Cynthia Jarrett, claiming they were looking for a stolen property, which there was none to be found. Due to the police raid and interactions with the police, Cynthia suffered a heart attack and passed away. This death came on the heels of the Cherry Gross attack, in which she suffered life-altering injuries by police actions that left her paralyzed in Brixton. The disturbances on Broadwater Farm Estate in 1985 brought Bernie Grant to national prominence as he defended the youth against police harassment. Despite being met with the full force of the racism of the British media, he refused to compromise. He was widely criticised for speeches he made on the murdering of PC Keith Blakelock, who was a police officer in attendance at the riots on the estate. These controversial comments provoked his Labour Party leadership to denounce him as one of their profound members. Bernie contested for the parliamentary seat for the Tottenham constituency and was elected as one of the first African Caribbean British MPs in a Labour Party ticket, thus joining the likes of Diane Abbott and Paul Boateng, who belonged to the Labour Party Black Sections movement, the first 3 Black MPs in the Commons. Additionally, Bernie spearheaded various activities that fought for the minority communities and elimination of slavery and racism. After the 1987 general election, he made his mark almost immediately by wearing a traditional Ghanaian cotton robe at the state opening of Parliament. As a working MP, he maintained his reputation as a firebrand with demands for black sections in the Labour Party and exemptions of Rastafarians from the poll tax. He opposed holding the Vauxhall by-election in 1989, so long as Labour fielded a white candidate. The constituency included Brixton, which has a high black population. In 1990, he accompanied Reverend Jesse Jackson to South Africa, greeting Nelson Mandela on the day of his historic release. In 1992, Bernie Grant just about trebled his majority in the general election. In 1993, although labelled as anti-police, he helped to defuse a potentially explosive situation following the death of Jamaican immigrant Joy Gardner, who was arrested during an immigration raid on her home. She passed away 4 days later after being on life support. Bernie was the chair of the All-Party Group on Race and Community and of the British Caribbean Group. In 1997, he was appointed as member of the Select Committee on International Development, and he was the only MP amongst those appointed to the Home Secretary's Race Relations Forum in 1998. He founded the Standing Conference on Racism in Europe in 1990 and also established the Africa Reparations Movement in Britain. In 1995, he founded the Global Trade Centre, a dedicated constituency MP. His battle was to establish a major arts and cultural facility in his Tottenham constituency, a project which has been progressed since his death and will now be named the Bernie Grant Centre. In the House of Commons, he was very outspoken about eliminating racism both in Britain and in the world. He campaigned against racist policing methods and deaths in custody, on institutionalized racism in health, housing and education, for refugees, and for the greater resources for inner city areas. Internationally, he fought for the elimination of overseas debts for poor nations and for the recognition of the past injustices of colonization and enslavement. Not only did he fight for racial justice, he also fought for anyone that was oppressed. Through his African reparations movement, he campaigned for the decolonization of the African continent, in general working hand in hand with the various Pan-African movements. Bernie Grant passed away in April 2000, leaving behind his wife and 3 sons. Bernie Grant MP definitely made his mark on British politics and should be remembered. He is part of British history. His legacy lives on through his family, but also the Bernie Grant Trust, Bernie Grant Art Centre, and the Bernie Grant Leadership Programme, which is to be offered by the Labour Party. So thank you for watching this video. Please thumbs up and subscribe, and look out for more videos on Black British MPs. Thank you.